Hey friends, it's Bryn. It feels like forever since I've sat down and just filmed a regular sit down talking to a camera type of video like this, so I'm very excited to be here. I hope you're excited to be here as well. So because I make videos and because I write, and if you've been paying attention, you've seen I've been doing NaNoWriMo this month. And because of that, I get a ton of questions from you guys about creativity. So I decided that I would just throw all of your questions about creativity into one video and talk kind of in depth about where my creativity comes from and that sort of thing. I feel like I could honestly spend an entire video talking about each of these questions, but instead I'm just going to try and hit the high points and keep it as short as I can. I can tend to ramble, as I seem to be doing right now, so let's just cut this short and jump right in to your questions. If you saw the productivity video that I did recently, you'll know that I have certain routines and things in place to stay on track with my blog posts, my writing projects, my videos, all that sort of stuff. It's not a perfect system, but it is the best way that I've found for me to keep a schedule and stay on track with all of my creative hobbies. So that video is here on my channel if that interests you. But if there's one thing I know about creativity, it's that no matter the routines you have in place, it always comes at the most inconvenient times. And it never comes at the convenient times. So aside from routines, another thing that's really helpful for me is just to have a bank of creative ideas in my back pocket. Not literally. I have a Google Doc that basically holds all of the ideas that I've had in the past year and a half for videos and blog posts and things like that. And I just constantly update it whenever I see a video that I think, oh, maybe I want to try that, or I just have a random idea, or I see something that sparks something that could be an idea. I throw it in this Google Doc. I can put it in there from my phone wherever I am. That way, whenever it comes time for me to film a video or time for me to plan videos, I have all of that somewhere that I can take and turn into a legitimate video like this. And then when it comes to writing, I actually have a notebook where I keep all of the interesting things that I see or I think about that I think potentially could be interesting in a story. So this could be names, scenes, places, basically just anything that I think of that could possibly go in a story goes in this notebook, and I can just kind of pick things out of there if I'm looking for inspiration. I just flip through this notebook and see what I have, what I've written in there, and what I can stick in a story now. Another thing that I've discovered recently that I've found is really important to my creative process is just switching things up. I feel like I'm constantly reevaluating what I'm doing and trying to change up my techniques or try other creative hobbies, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I've found just getting complacent is one of the worst things for creativity. You're just likely not going to find one method that is consistently going to work for you and is going to keep you and others interested. Or if you have, good for you. I haven't figured that out yet, so I'm always learning. I think it's good to always be learning and trying different things. I don't think it's good to stick yourself in one box all the time. Also, if you've recently been watching the NaNoWriMo vlogs that I've been doing, you'll know that I've been trying to write at different times of the day. Sometimes I type, sometimes I handwrite, sometimes I write at home, sometimes I go to Barnes & Noble and write. And this is because I found switching things up and trying different things, putting yourself in different environments is one of the best things for creativity. Not always the best thing for productivity, but in terms of sparking creative ideas, I just think switching things up is one of the best things you can do. This is easy. Entertainment in general just gives me a ton of inspiration. So I'm always reading, I'm watching TV, watching YouTube videos, and also reading and watching things that are out of my typical genres, so to speak. I also try to do things like painting and drawing and coloring in my free time because one, I find it really relaxing, and two, I just think it's a good way to keep my hands busy and be creative without actively trying to be creative. It just gets my mind off of things and gets my mind off of trying too hard to be creative or the frustration when I can't be creative. And in terms of my biggest creative projects, which is writing and these videos, there are specific things and specific people that always resonate with me and that I get inspiration from, which I will jump into right now. Obviously, a lot of inspiration comes from finding others who inspire you and just borrowing things from them, which sounds worse than it is. So for me, there are specifically 5 YouTube channels that I pull inspiration from in a variety of different ways. One is Zoella's vlogs, which are so fun and cozy. I love them so much. They just have a vibe that I love, and the feeling I get when I watch them is something I try to emulate in these videos. Probably not successfully. Second, when I first started watching Kaylin Nicholson's vlogs, I was like, yes, this is the style of video that I want to be making. I just love her personality, and I consistently try to adapt like some of her filming and editing techniques. She also does a ton of like advice and inspiration type videos, which I love doing as well. Third, Allegra Shaw is a recent find of mine, and I have fallen in love with her style of videos as well. She does mostly fashion videos, but I specifically love her vlogs, and I just love her laid-back attitude. It's much more of my style on a platform that's very loud and dramatic and over the top. Also, her aesthetic is on point. Fourth, I love Alana Davison's personality. I love her aesthetic. I love her fashion sense. I love her love of cats, which is equal to my love of cats. And I just feel like we would be best friends. So obviously I just love her videos and I want to be just like her. Also, can you tell by my last few that I kind of love Canadians? It just happened that way. I don't know what to do about it. And fifth, the Vlogbrothers channel has been one of my favorites for a while now. I just love that their videos are a good balance of thoughtful and smart and fun and entertaining. I also love that their videos are not necessarily what's popular, but they're more just about what they're thinking about at this point in time and what they're focused on or what they're worried about. And I really like that it's not about trends or doing what's cool. It's just about like what they're feeling at that moment in time. And it's more of like a time capsule of their life more so than trendy in the world right now, if that makes sense. I love young adult fiction. I love coming of age stories. So those are the types of stories that I typically like to write. I just feel like teenagers bring so much enthusiasm to things because everything they're experiencing in their life they're doing for the first time. And they know and they feel like the things they're doing are going to matter. I mean, I still feel like that at 22, but I would consider myself more of a young adult than like a full-fledged adult. So because those are the stories I'm interested in reading, they're really the only stories I'm interested in writing. I try to read outside of this just so as not to limit myself, but at the end of the day, I love YA fiction. Specifically, my favorite books are John Green's Paper Towns and Catcher in the Rye. So that kind of balance of education and inspiration and humor, so as not to make anything too serious, is something I try to emulate both in writing and in my videos, and in most creative things, to be fair. Honestly, a lot of this has just come with time. I still don't feel like I've gotten over negative thinking. I just feel like I've learned how to deal with it. And honestly, I don't think anyone ever gets over negative thinking. And if they do, they're too confident and they probably don't create anything good. Just being honest. But I say time because over time, I've definitely gotten better at just accepting it and working anyway. One of the best things, in my opinion, about creative hobbies is that no one has to see them if you don't want them to. No one has to see the first draft of your book or the first 5 to 10 to 50 takes of your video. You're always allowed to work on them until you feel comfortable sharing them, which could be never, if that's what you want. So my advice is always just to take it step by step. I never shared any of my creative endeavors, if that's what you want to call them, until I started a YouTube channel. I wanted to do something that I would get immediate response to, so I picked an outlet and I stuck with it. And it's been what, like 2.5 years, and I'm still here. But it was something I could do frequently that kept my creative brain working. And once I started doing that, I adapted more to the idea that things don't have to be perfect. And oftentimes, they will never be perfect. But you just have to try and keep pushing yourself. And eventually, I think the fear of not creating things becomes worse than the fear of creating them. All right, so that's all I have. Thank you so much for sending in your questions, by the way. If you have more questions about creativity or about anything else that you want me to possibly make a video about, all the information will be in the description of this video. I think I give you like 3 or 4 ways that you can get your questions or whatever to me, so please do that. I love to hear from you. So I hope this video was helpful for you in some way. I always find it so interesting to listen to other people's creative processes. I love reading books like about writing and about creativity and about how people find inspiration and stuff, so hopefully this kind of works in the same way for you. One of my favorite books that I read over the summer, kind of on this by the way, is Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, and it's kind of about overcoming fear and living a creative life, and if that's something you're struggling with, I highly recommend reading that because it really was like a turning point for me. And I think that's all I have to say. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you very soon with another one. Bye guys!